The Kawhi Leonard-led Los Angeles Clippers era that transpired from 2019 to 2024 will go down simply as a massive failure for the Clippers organization as a whole and the NBA at large. The Clippers have failed to win a championship or even make a finals appearance. The closest they've ever been to winning a title is the Western Conference Finals in 2021, which only got to 6 games, due to the incredible play of Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, and countless others on the Phoenix Suns. Point is that Los Angeles Clippers fans are still being apathetic. They're still cheering their franchise on. I appreciate those fans, but I think they're fighting a losing battle that is not worth fighting for any longer. The Clippers era has officially come to an end, and a lot of their players are at the end of the rope here. They're getting traded, they're getting waved off. Some of them are even retiring, and the massive failure. This will go down as a massive failure for the organization, and mainly it's because of the failure of Clippers management in the past. Mainly it's because of the shortcomings of the Clippers in the past, but at present it's because it's over. The star-studded potential of having 4 Hall of Famers who have passed their primes on a roster, it's over. And so you need to lose those guys. And what I mean by lose, you need to discontinue the oversaturation of all-star play in these guys, and you need to look for new players that can fill the void. Now, it is confirmed over the past few months, not rumored, it is confirmed that Kawhi Leonard has signed to a 3-year, $150 million deal in January, and James Harden has signed to a 70 mil 2-year extension 3 weeks ago. So, want to know, because the Clippers need some offense going for the coming years from 2024 into 2027. They need some offense that's going to propel them into a potential playoff berth or playoff spot. I don't know how that's going to work. I feel like that will crash and burn almost immediately, simply based on the fact that these two players have given me no vital or verbal commitment that in 6 months they're even going to be viable to play or just even going to be around. You traded 2 Hall of Famers in Russell Westbrook and Paul George for what? And for what? So you can still keep 2 washed-up stars on the roster? The Minnesota Timberwolves, mind you, have excellent young guard play that they have built up through the draft in Anthony Edwards and Robert Dillingham, which mind you, he was acquired from the Spurs because the Spurs traded him off for Stephon Cassell. And they have good team chemistry together. And Rob Dillingham, as being the shifty point guard he is, will fit well with the team's culture and what they're trying to build in all these young stars. You still got Karl-Anthony Towns, so they can be a formidable defensive presence. You have Rudy Gobert, who won Defensive Player of the Year. I still think that should have went to Wemby, but point is, there are a lot of Clippers fans out there that are mad now that this is being enacted. And all I gotta say is, we saw this writing on the wall back in 2018, 2019. Many YouTubers have talked about this. The fact that the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Rockets were under massive lack of talent, and they were still pumped. And those stars from those teams, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Paul George, were still pumping out being a triple double machine and a potential MVP candidate, as if the team was just as good as they played on back in 2012. And it just wasn't. There needed to be success somewhat. Like, this was never going to be a long term success. This was not going to win them a title. There needed to be a turn. There needed to be success somewhere. And although these are acclaimed players, these are Hall of Famers, these are talented players, these are players that people love. But the point is, time is not being invested in these players. Enough time is not being invested in these players. And I look the contributions that these players have brought to the world of basketball. I love all of it. But it comes down simply to the fact that the players don't care what their coach does. The coach, Tyronn Lue, isn't committed to the Clippers. The Clippers' days of being a formidable powerhouse in the Western Conference is over. Although they're trying to do stuff with James Harden, we can talk about that later. We can talk about Kawhi Leonard. They're making all these trades, signing all these players in free agency, trying to keep the playoffs hopes alive. It's like, dude, we're focused on the Knicks. We're focused we're focused on the Bucks. We're focused on the potential of the Wizards and the Pistons. We're focused on the Spurs. We're focused on all these other teams, the Timberwolves, the Mavericks, the Celtics. Your time is over. The Lakers are still good enough to keep that relevance because they've won over 17 times in the past 75 years. The Sacramento Kings are rising up and becoming a formidable franchise. They're bearing wheels. They're firing on all cylinders at one point with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk and the likes of Domantas Sabonis and countless others. The Los Angeles Clippers are just literally grasping at straws, man. No one gives you shits about the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm just being honest with you. The our people like me, at one point, I ain't gonna lie, we cared about it. But here's the key issue. The players that we associate these Clippers with were never given the care. There was a chance for the Clippers to be a formidable team. There was a chance for the Clippers to truly be a dominant franchise in the NBA. This was before the Lob City era with Blake Griffin and Paul George and DeAndre Jordan. This was years back when Bill Walton was on the team. It even dates back to that. It dates to the 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 first few years of the Clippers' existence when they were back in Buffalo. Once Jack Ramsey was traded and the ownership between the Clippers and the NBA have soured and they couldn't afford to have a team in Buffalo anymore and they started trading countless pieces like Jim McMillan, Bob McAdoo to the New York Knicks. Once it became Los Angeles, the team, the sidekick to the Lakers with some Buffalo identity and then lost all of it over the years. I mean, what are the Clippers now? Why would you even want to watch the Clippers now? The Lakers, I appreciate them. I appreciate the juggernaut they have been. They have been a powerhouse in the NBA for a long time. They have created several dynasties, but there's a reason why people still respect the Lakers, even if they're not the formidable team that they used to be back in 2020 because of the star power, because of the name, because of the box office appeal. And between 2020 and 2024, there is no interest whatsoever in what the Clippers were doing. So the coach, Tyronn Lue, and we notice, is not revered like Popovich. The front office didn't respect or treated the Clippers as valuable pieces to a championship title. or rather, the players didn't value themselves as title contenders the way that they, as much more as scoring machines, and didn't value a championship title the way that they could have, the way that it did when OKC made the finals back in 2012 or 2013, and when the Spurs won their fifth title with Kawhi Leonard the year after that in 2014. The problem is that you have multiple ball hogs who are willing to score, who are willing to give you a bucket on the offensive end with little to no defense behind it. And so when this happens, of course you're gonna have this slashing. You're gonna have the constant bumping of heads. You're gonna have the disappointment of a franchise that looks to be winning a title at that point. Again, we've seen this. We've seen this from this franchise. We've seen the legacy of failure that this franchise presents. It will continue to happen, and it should not be surprising. And I'm not even disappointed anymore. Because the Los Angeles Clippers lost me years ago. When you realize the loss, the failure of these players started when they lost to the Nuggets in the bubble, when you realize that the loss of care in the Clippers management has gone on for over 4 decades, and all it's ever been doing is just been snowballing, there is nothing that could have been done to make it change for the better. And that's why I thought for years, that's why I wanted to talk about this, because the Clippers have attempted. Remember, they did a Lob City era. They did a Lob City era with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan, and were like 4 or 5 games from making the NBA Finals, and no one cared. Or rather, they weren't firing on all cylinders. No one was clicking, the team wasn't successful enough, and boom. The Clippers management got rid of all of them, traded them away, and boom. It goes right back to being a purgatory. Because they're only looking for money. And people keep on getting mad at the bottom line. It's like, dude, nobody is going to be interested in a franchise that is in a big market similar to LA and fails to make the NBA Finals for the past 50 years. Or if you go back in their draft selection history, if you see that they traded away 7 Hall of Famers throughout the draft, during the draft, from 1971 to now, and missed the opportunity of drafting 11 Hall of Famers, well, that tells you something. It tells you a lot. It's like, why would we invest more of this? It's over. So, the next season for the Los Angeles Clippers will be the same stuff as before. They're gonna be facing playoff contention just to get, just to be upset. It's like, they'll go back into the off season like with us scratching our heads, going to be like, they could be doing this. It's like, it doesn't matter. The Clippers have stand firmly in 4th in the NBA in terms of California-based teams, and they have stood in a death loop, and they have stood at a death loop for over 40 years now. We have talked about this before. Trading Bob McAdoo away, Bill Walton, when he was with the San Diego Clippers, how he was a shell of his former self. The Lob City era, back in 2013, 14, 15, 16, from 2010 all the way to 18. And it affects the legacies of Westbrook, Paul George, Harden, Leonard. Their careers are all widely affected. The Thunder in 2012 and 13, the Pacers, they could have got the opportunity to draft Kawhi Leonard, but they traded him away for George Hill. We talked about the fact that the Clippers hasn't even, the only time they went to Western Conference Finals, they massively choked in 6 games. Not to mention, when a player has the potential to become an all-star as a Clipper, they get injured in the prime of their careers. The brand is at irrelevance. It is time to relocate. It is time to shut it down. Unless you have fans that are in the same building that are going to hold you through tough times. Why? I told my dad this so many times. Why didn't they hold on to Kawhi Leonard in the 2011 draft? They could have had Danny Granger come off the bench and be a strong mentor to Kawhi Leonard to help him shoot the free ball, be more effective in scoring, and help anchor his defensive presence. They didn't do it at all. Or when the Thunder had a big three in 2008 to 2012, that potentially could have ended in a title, but James Harden wanted more money and wanted to play for a team of his own. There could have been a success story there, but it didn't pan out the way it should. The only positive situation that comes out of this is Kevin Durant when he joined the 2017 Warriors team and gone on to win 2 titles. So there's just missed opportunity in this Clippers team all around. In championships, in the front office, in terms of legacies, all across the board. And if you're still rooting for this franchise, I really do appreciate that. But I think you're fighting a losing battle. You're fighting a battle that doesn't matter anymore, which is why people have acclaimed this the most disappointing super team in NBA history. Now, when I come back and make more videos and get on a more consistent schedule, I'll talk about the future. I'll talk about the potential of the Clippers. I'll talk about other teams. I'm going to discuss more content. But I'm not going to talk about much to do with the Kawhi Leonard-led Los Angeles Clippers era. So long to an era that no longer matters.